Hello everyone, today we looked at the theory of the Magnus Sicilian, and today we're gonna look at a game of Magnus as white playing, as you see, the Magnus Sicilian. So, let's dive in. He goes down the line. We thought about you drop the queen back to d2, and you want to develop the bishop, and queenside castle. He goes for this setup, so we know he's not gonna play the main line, with the knight staying here and the bishop coming out, where you have to play f4. But maybe he is going to develop the bishop, and then we just should have go for this idea, and if he doesn't, we also go for that idea probably. So he plays the bishop there, and he plays e6. That's a big commitment because you're probably gonna develop the bishop this way now. So a6, as we spoke about, this idea of attacking at the queen side, and that's exactly what he does. Magnus plays this because he wants to attack the queen side, and a good move of his opponent, 2700 rating Grandmaster, stopping him from going there. So he develops the knight because with this move, h5, you've given away this square, which is a really nice square for the knight, because you don't really want to block your bishop and your rook eventually in the future. So we see he immediately puts his knight there, putting a bit of pressure, and now he moves the pawn down. It's not that good of a move because the pawn will only get weak. You cannot really push it because the knight defends. And here, good move f4, because we see that black's not castling, also because of this pawn, and because he knows if he castles, he will get attacked by h4, h5. So Magnus goes for another idea, maybe strike in the center, maybe f5. We'll see. Black develops the bishop, king b1, as we spoke about, always a useful move, because you put the king on a more active square. And now the rook joins. So he's trying to attack Magnus, and Magnus just develops his bishop, improving move. Maybe wants to trade it off against this bishop, so we'll see. Developing the queen, so this knight in the future may be pinned down to the pawn, because it will be checkmate. And now the rook comes to the center, and the knight asks for a trade. So Magnus plays the best move. Knight takes, so now black is not gonna castle, it's not possible anymore. And now a somewhat worse move, but only after he takes. He does take. This does give Magnus a nice space advantage, but black can try and break it apart, and maybe Magnus will go to the h file, trying to trade off that powerful rook. But first he develops his bishop, because he wants to defend his center. The rook moves back, and g4, trying to play g5, kicking this bishop off the diagonal, after which this bishop will be really strong. But the knight drops in, and the rook comes up to stop the knight from going to this square. The knight is really strong in the center, and here he plays king f1. It's an interesting move, and you can learn something from it, because you can castle, but you do want to get your king out of the center. So most of the time with f1 it will be pretty safe, because maybe there will get something on this diagonal, but you can always move to g8, and this is really nice because rook also has the open file. The knight moves back because you want to trade off the powerful knight in the center, then maybe trade bishops, damage the pawn structure in front of the king. So takes, and now you might think, is this a mouse slip? No, it's not, because you can, it's not that great of a move, but you would have just thought he would take the bishop. Instead, he stops right in front of it, so now you have to take. And most of the time Magnus would take, because he really loves endgames. But now he says no, because your king is weaker than my king, because my bishop is a really nice defender of the pawn side my queen, at the side of my king and the center. So when I open up your king, my queen will be a useful attacker. So one threat was already to go with the queen here, attacking the bishop, attacking the pawn. So that's a good move from black, stopping the plan. Now the center break, and after takes, the rook moves down, and that's a mistake. As we see right over here, there's only one winning move, that's to take the rook, and then play rook h2, attacking the bishop, threatening to infiltrate. And here he takes this pawn, thinks you can take my bishop because I will take the queen, but Magnus has other plans. He checks, and in this position black resigns. Why does he resign? Because if you move your king forward, there is g5 check, the king gets taken out all the way to center. You have this queen check, and you see right over here it's +10 or a mate. So Magnus would just keep checking the king. Maybe even with this one, this is not the most accurate, but the computer gives queen h4. So can move back, so it has to move forward again. Queen g3, and then you understand where this is going. Then the rook joins, and then it will be checkmate. Not right now, but there's this move, queen g4 check. You can block with the queen because it gets taken not by the queen but by your bishop, and then it would be checkmate. So that's why he resigned in this position, because he knows if I move forward I just keep getting checked by the queen, by the rook, and it will be unstoppable checkmate. So thank you all for looking at this game. I chose this game because of the similarities we saw, but also because it was a line we did not really discuss. I just gave you the plan of f3 and g5, g4, g5, h4, h5, but here he decided to play the pawns both one square, not castle the king. So I wanted to show you that now it's a good idea. It's a good idea to still go for this plan, but if they stop the plan, you go with your knight, and you will eventually play this nice move f4, because you're not really breaking through on this side, also because he isn't castled and because of this annoying pawn. So you play f4, just controlling the center. You just play it slow by king b1, bishop develops, rook develops, trading off the knight, this one. So it was just a game to fill up the holes I didn't cover in theory video. So thank you all for watching. Check out my other video about the Magnus Sicilian, and I see y'all later.